Hello and welcome back to Revive's GCSEhistory.co.uk, the #1 revision website for your GCSE History course. So this is video 3 in the topic cattle ranching, and this video today is the final video in the topic. Quite a short topic, only 3 videos to go through. So in the video today we're going to be looking at the life of a cowboy. Hopefully this should be quite a quick video. We'll just whiz through all the key points you need to know, and if I don't witter on too much, this should be quite a nice, short, concise video for you guys. Okay, so who became cowboys? Who became cowboys? Well, they were mainly young single men. They are of various nationalities. Many were ex-Confederate soldiers, and they're the Southern soldiers from the US Civil War. So ex-Southern soldiers. Many are also ex-slaves who wanted a new start in life. Some were criminals that were on the run, and many were also drifters. So these are some examples of who became cowboys. You just need to know and be aware of this. So what jobs did a cowboy actually do? You may have some idea from old western cowboy films what jobs a cowboy did do, but some of that will be myth, some of it will be reality. Some of these western films, they are fairly well researched, but often they are widely exaggerated, and also they give like a romanticised and fantasy view of the Wild West. So what jobs did a cowboy actually do? You need to learn this for the exam. Well, one job was driving cattle to market in the north. Another one was branding cattle with the owner's mark, so they could see what ranch cattle belonged to. Yeah. So branding cattle with a certain stripe over them. They also loaded cattle into cattle trucks, treated sick cattle, protected cattle from rustlers, and repaired fences when the open range took over from the long drive. Protected cattle from rustlers. I'm just going to address this point here. Rustlers are people who steal cattle. So people who steal cattle. It's quite a crime in the West, actually. So a rustler is somebody who steals somebody else's cattle. So one of the jobs of the cowboy was to protect their cattle and keep an eye on them to make sure they weren't stolen by rustlers. And the phrase rustling, it's like we caught so-and-so rustling, just means stealing cattle. So be familiar with that term. Okay, so there's some of the jobs that a cowboy did. So that really is everything you need to know about the life of a cowboy. So 2 slides really of information that you need to go through and learn. Because there's not that much information in the video today, I've not actually got the questions like we do usually have at the end of my videos, but I've got a similar activity. This activity is called Cowboys, Myth or Reality. I've very briefly addressed the point that many Western films give a romanticised and fantasy view of a cowboy's life, and the reality is very different. That it was a very boring, monotonous, and not a very nice job to do. So, pause the video here if you like. We have 6 statements. You must decide if each statement is true or false, if each statement is a myth or a reality of cowboy life. Pause the video here, jot down 1 to 6 and myth or reality next to each number, then we'll go through some answers. Okay. Alright, so the answers to the myth or reality questions. Number 1, the cowboy life was glamorous. As in Western films, the lifestyle is often portrayed as glamorous. People drink in saloons, spend all the money in one go, and go crazy in the cow towns. But this is actually a myth. It was very difficult working 18-hour days, and the long trail rides were boring. So that's a myth. The life wasn't glamorous. Statement 2, most cowboys had small or medium physical frames. So we're talking about their physical build. Myth or reality? That's actually a reality. It's true. as large men were too heavy to ride the cattle. Sorry, to ride the horses, ride the cattle. Statement 3. A cowboy would ride his favourite horse all day, myth or reality, because in Western films cowboys are often portrayed as having their favourite horse and riding it all day, and that sort of thing. Myth or reality? That's actually a myth, as cowboys would ride a string of horses depending on what task was at hand. They wouldn't have a favourite horse that they rode all day. For example, a mild horse would be used at night, and a quick horse would be used for cattle roping and tending. Question 4. Statement 4. Many Texas cowboys were Mexican or African American, myth reality. That's actually true. During the cowboy era, which was from 1866 to 1886, you'll notice that it's only 20 years. And in history in general, that is a that's a very, very, very short era. So it only lasted for a very short amount of time. So during the cowboy era, 1/6 of the cowboys were Mexican, and many others were African American or Native American. Statement 5. Women could not become cowboys. Quite an interesting one, this, as I'm sure many of you will have said that that's a myth, but it's actually true. Actually, I've done this wrong. Many women could not become... Many women... ignore me. Many women... I'm sorry, what am I talking about? Women could not become cowboys. Well, I assume that you'll have done this one wrong. That's actually a myth, as several women owned ranches and ran their own cattle drives. So, women could become cowboys. They could become cowboys. The wording of the question confused me there for a second. Sorry about that. Women could become cowboys. Quite a surprising one there. Question 6. I have briefly addressed this in an earlier video. Cowboys often had to fight off Native Americans. That's a myth, because cowboys rarely, if ever, fought Native Americans, as by 1866 the Native Americans were defeated and confined to the reservations. So unlike in Western and cowboy films, they never had sort of fights with Native Americans. It was never sort of cowboys versus Indians. Alright, thanks for watching this video today. We've gone through everything we need to go through. If you have found it useful, please visit the website and tell all your friends about us. Good luck with your studies. See you soon.